Merry Christmas, students. I'm your IELTS tutor, Jack, and welcome to a festive edition of the IELTS Plus English podcast. So that's it, the end of 2021. It's come already. We've survived another year. I think for a lot of people it's been quite a difficult year thanks to COVID. But we've made it, and fingers crossed, 2022 is going to be a brighter, more sociable year. Today, we've got a special episode of the IELTS Plus podcast. It's going to be all about my favourite festival, Christmas, because Christmas is just around the corner, and it will not be part of the IELTS Plus curriculum. Also, a further announcement, this will be the last podcast episode of the year. I'm going to take a week's break and then I'll be back on Wednesday, 5th of January with the next episode in the series. So as this is a special episode, there will not be a free handout, but please enjoy the IELTS style questions and my answers where I use all of my normal structures and hopefully some interesting vocabulary. But before we start, how do you feel? How do you reflect on 2021? Was it a good year for you? Tell me in the comments below if you are on YouTube. For me, it wasn't. It was an okay year, I suppose. I've really enjoyed the new project online, so I've really enjoyed doing this podcast. I've had, my daughter was born last year, but she's really grown up through this year, so now she's a year and a half. That's been wonderful. It's been difficult to do offline teaching, as you can imagine, wearing masks, social distancing, that's not been great. But overall, a bit of a better year than 2020 for me. So how about you? If you are on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Let's do some IELTS. Question 1. Do you like Christmas? Yes, I absolutely love Christmas. It's a really important festival for me because I love the time gathering with my family, drinking, eating, chatting, and seeing people I haven't seen perhaps for a long time. So yes, huge fan of Christmas. What do you usually do on Christmas Day? Well, Christmas Day, my family have quite a ritual. So we have quite a strict plan for how Christmas Day goes from waking up to going to bed. But basically it includes, as I said, a lot of eating and drinking. We exchange gifts. That's a nice part of the day. And we go for a Christmas walk. Hopefully it's snowing. That would be a lovely way to spend Christmas, but very often it's not. Okay, I'm warmed up. Let's do a part 2. And this is a very IELTS part 2. Except for the Christmas part, this is actually an IELTS question. And it's as follows. Tell me about a memorable gift you received for Christmas. Okay, 2 minutes on the clock. Time starts now. I'd like to tell you about my bike. When I was young, about 15 or 20 years ago, I got a new bike for Christmas. At the time, cycling was my main hobby. I really enjoyed off-road cycling, up and down mountains with my friends. And it was a really wonderful time to spend together. But at the time, I remember I had a very heavy old bike. My friends all had these wonderful things and they'd go so fast, and I was a little bit left behind. And I asked my parents for a new mountain bike. And that's exactly what they got me. So I remember on the day, Christmas Day, I saw this huge box. So of course I knew what it was. It must be a bike. And it was so exciting. I took it out immediately, cycled around the local area. It was a really memorable day. Let me tell you a little more about this bike. It was a Kona. Kona is the brand of bike, and the bike itself was gold color, so it's quite extravagant. And it was, most importantly, light, and it had suspension, so it was very good for performing off-road, and I was so happy to have it. As I said, I immediately took it for a ride, and that's something that comes to my mind because in England, on Christmas Day, there's so many kids riding their new bikes. So I was cycling, I saw all these other kids on their new bikes. It was a wonderful feeling on Christmas Day. You can see that every Christmas. So for me personally, it was a particularly memorable gift because it was something I had wanted for a long time. And it was better than I was expecting. It performed so well. In the future, I can't wait to give a bike to my daughter. Okay, that's it. So 2 minutes up. I was going to say about my daughter, I can't wait to give her a bike. I think that's quite a big milestone in parenting. So there you go. I think we'll go straight on to some part threes. Number 1, is Christmas an important time of year for people in your country? Yes, Christmas is a hugely important time of year for British people. Of course, it's a religious festival, but I think the vast majority of British people aren't religious, or perhaps their religion is different to Christianity or whatever. But it's an important time for the family. So although we should recognize the birth of Christ, I think for a lot of people, myself included, it's a wonderful time to gather with the family, meet people you haven't seen for a long time, catch up, and have these rituals and traditions that you can share together. So yes, it's a very important time of year. How has Christmas changed over the years? I don't think it's changed a great deal in England. It certainly, when I lived in England, it was always the same. And when I see my friends on Facebook back in England, they seem to be doing the same kind of stuff. They have the same traditions. The pubs and restaurants do the same kind of things. It's the same decorations. And that's a great thing. I think it's such a treasured day that they don't want to change it. It's kind of the opposite of what I see in Korea, where a lot of the traditional day and festivals are becoming less popular. Like, people don't want to spend time with their family. They would rather go on holiday. So yeah, to answer your question, Christmas has stayed very much the same. Okay, well, from an IELTS point of view, that was far too long. The answer was too long, but yeah, that's an interesting subject for me. One more question and then we'll wrap up our Christmas episode. Do you think the popularity of Christmas will fade in the future? Well, connected to the previous answer, I don't think so. I think in England, it's such a popular festival. It's so important to a great number of people that it will remain that way. And I don't feel like new generations feel differently about it. Of course, it very much depends on the person. I know there are people that don't have any interest. But on the whole, I think it will continue as it has done. Good, that was much more concise. Excellent. So that wraps up my final episode for 2021. I'd firstly like to say, for everyone who's joined me on YouTube or on the podcast, wherever you are, I'm truly grateful. I've really enjoyed doing this podcast and all of the other videos and lessons I do. I have lots of things planned for 2022, and I will, of course, continue to the 40th episode of the first season of this podcast, and then there will be a second season later. So that's it. We're going to call it a day, call it a year, and I will be back in 2022 with the next episode. Happy Christmas to you all, and have a wonderful new year. I hope you can spend some time with your family and loved ones, and perhaps 2022 will be a bit brighter. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a wonderful holiday period and take care. Bye-bye.